Alright, hi YouTube. Hello. Also hello to people who watch me later after the stream. As I wanted to say as every Thursday, but actually a week ago I didn't make a stream because there were other things like Top Coder Open and Coding Game. So for past weeks I didn't have those regular streams. But by default, Thursday evening for me is solving Leetcode problems. It used to be mostly by recommendations from you, the chat, but maybe today I can start with some contest, like bi-weekly contest or weekly contest. I can also do a mock interview. What about that? Like random set of questions from a real company. I could log in, I don't remember password to my second account. But I could log in and take a Google interview maybe. 500,000 times, 60,000, 60,000. Okay, this is just taken more times because it's for free. Those are interesting statistics. You can see which companies are more interesting to participants. Hi, Angelica's swimming disaster, Wuhai. Is there water flowing? Yeah, something like that. Do 1622? Is it a hard problem, an interesting problem? Fancy sequence. I see, it's a hard problem with low accuracy. I have interview at Amazon in 3 days. Any tips? One thing specific about Amazon is that you need to know their values. Amazon is very client-oriented. There is a list of values. Just memorize them and try to say that you like them. Please take Google interview. Parzival just hosted the stream for 1 viewers. Thank you. Alrighty. Let's say that the Google interview thing I can try next time. Also, I'm not sure yet if next week I will make this stream because there is a Polish competition for the next week from Monday to Sunday. I might be busy, you will see. In YouTube description and in Twitch chat you can get my schedule, my Google Calendar. Are you doing video for CodeChef? Like now? I don't get your question, Ronit. Online assessments, on-site interview. Should we try this? Actually, is this, please somebody tell me, is this a one-time thing? I see here problem set, so that's limited. I only can do so many of them. If this is unlimited, I can try now. One. What happened to CodeChef review? Did you reply back? What do you mean reply back? Yes, I told them my feedback already. Each session will include up to 4 questions. 2 hours to complete all questions. Okay, so about right for a 2-hour stream, right? It will likely take around 20 minutes. Once a mock interview session begins, you cannot pause the timer. Google, make an alt to use next time. I have an alt. Let me try to log in. In the meantime, I will talk with you a little bit. But I think that like a week ago I tried to remember a password and I didn't, or even a login. Oh, is that it? Maybe I had it saved. So I see this premium. How to check if I'm premium already? I guess I can go to list of problems. This is unlocked, so it's premium, right? Oh yeah, cool. Should we do Google interview? Did you ever hear about hierarchy? What a difficult word. Hierarchical sorting. What's the best algorithm for it? No, first time. What is fast sort, Eric, though? I don't know what you mean. There are many ways to sort. I know what is quick sort, not what is fast sort. Okay, chat. Online assessment, phone interview, or on-site interview? Maybe it's time to try password manager. I use password manager. This is how I logged in a moment ago. I don't know what happened a week ago when I tried to log in. Maybe it was in different browser. I use just Google Manager. It's free. You have premium for a year. Yes, this is what I use. This is premium for 1 year. On-site, on-site, on-site. Okay, easy. Let's go. We start at position 0, 0. We can make moves up, down, left, right, and use this character. Return a sequence of moves that makes our answer equal to target in the minimum number of moves. That's a difficult first problem, isn't it? No. Maybe not. I wanted to say that it's dynamic programming, but it's just that. Can I copy this? I hope it will compile. This will be vector of strings. If the first character is H, then I have a unique path, twice to the right and once down. I don't have really any choice. My current row and column is 0. String, let's say answer. At the end I will return the answer. For every next character in target, I can find where it is in the board. How many rows there are? Not that many. Board.length. Board of r.length. We iterate over row, and now if this is exactly the character I'm looking for, board of rc is next, then I need to move from row column to rc. The number of moves needed for that would be exactly this. Like if you are in second row, you need to get to fifth row. That would be 3 moves down. Instead, I need to print moves, and that will be r minus row. If this value is positive, it means I need to move down. I can make this with a for loop, but better will be like that, with character down. This is a constructor of this that many times takes character d, but I don't want this to be negative, so maximize with 0. For similar reason, this moving up. I need to also spend a moment to decide about character z. I don't want to get outside of the grid. C minus column. If new value c is greater, it means I go to the right, because columns go to the right. If I make any mistake here, it will be very easy to see if I run code. During a real interview, you wouldn't have this convenience. Oh, wait, let me quickly ban somebody. Why would you ask so many times the same question? Where is it? Do you read thinking in C++? banned, sorry. Just don't spam. What if Leetcode asks you to take video down for showing premium content? Good question. By default, I don't show premium problems. I don't know if this is a premium problem. Yeah, next time I will think about it more. All right. If I want to get from N to Z, I need to first move to the left, then down. If from Z to N, first move up, and then to the right. I think the order of priority should be up, left, down, right. So that up would be before right, and left would be before down. Those are actually the only two conditions. I can interleave them in any way. Up before right. Let's try to run code. What's wrong? Length. Yeah, this is size because it's a vector. Your input lit, output, and exclamation marks are needed. That's one thing. And I need to overwrite row and column, obviously. RDD, that's right, just in slightly different order. Looks good. Test case. Let's try busy. Should be right and then left and 5 downs. Right, left and 5 downs. Good. Submit. Why do you use caps lock? Don't use uppercase, come on. Next unsolved question. Oh, I see question 1, 2, 3. Easy. Didn't you win ICPC bronze in 2015 instead of 16? Couchov said 16. I don't know. I don't remember. I finished high school in 13 and I was in ICPC 2 years later. So yeah, that's 2015. No, I'm not reading only YouTube comments. I have this combined chat. You're given an array of colors in which there are 3 colors, 1, 2, and 3. You're also given some queries. Return the shortest distance between the given index I and target color C. I have no idea what I've just read. What? Colors. Oh, maybe I understand, but the statement is very badly written. I have some array, and query is about some position and a value. Let's say this position and value 1. I need to find the nearest one. If the number of queries is big enough, then it's worth to do some pre-processing. One solution, of course, is go from this position to the right and to the left and try to find this value. But a lot of times you will do repeated work. Really what we're interested in, starting from some position, going to the right but also to the left, find the next occurrence of some value. And you can pre-compute that. That's when you find this for that position, you actually already found it for the next position. That's repeated work. I will have an array, something like that. I want to say that next of, let's say, 2 and I, this is next occurrence of value 2 after index I. I could make this size a 3 and I would then need to think about color 0, 1, 2 instead of 1, 2, 3. Is this multi-node BFS? No, because you're given a single source. I mean, yeah, you can say that because you are looking for things close to 1, you can start BFS from those, but then it will be linear. You don't want to do that. Oh, what about that? My preprocessing indeed can do multi-node BFS. I will write this down. Solution from the chat. Suggested by Lost Coder is for every value 1, 2, and 3, run BFS from its positions. For example, 1 is initially here, here, and here. And I can run BFS from that to then compute that distance to that is 1, distance to that is 1, distance to that is 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a very nice solution. I like the idea. But I will continue with mine. Mine is more complicated, but well, this is what I came up with. No, I didn't do advent of code. Binary search, I wanted to avoid logarithm. Yes, you can do this in nlogn, but I want to be better. My ugly solution for every position and value, compute next occurrence. I like BFS more, to be honest. All right, let's move from the end, and it will be this. I would say that this makes more sense. It will be n by 4, like that. Next of I2 will be starting from position I, next occurrence of value 2. Okay, that's the definition of what I'm looking for. If, what do we need to do? Next of I, and this value here, colors of I, is equal exactly here. For everything else, just repeat the previous thing. If from I plus 1 we saw the next position of 1, 2, and 3, it is somewhere, then copy that and say, okay, from here it's the same positions, just overwrite this one. This will not work for I equal to n minus 1. If I is equal n minus 1, then next of I is n, something like that. This is infinity. Next of I colors is I, alright. Now I need to do the same for the other direction, and there are two ways how to do it. One is to copy paste code or to write a very similar code. Why don't you sort it? Why would you sort it? The problem has nothing to do with sorting. Yeah, you can sort and you will have 1s, 2, and 3s, but then what will you do? I can here copy paste or kind of repeat this code, but let's be smarter. Let's be smarter. And how can I be smarter? I can create a function. It should be private, but I don't care that much. Vector of int find next. To make it faster, put here const reference, but it isn't necessary. Oh, I didn't create n at all. That previous code wouldn't compile anyway. Do this and return next. Now, run my function once. Find next. And then what we will do, we will reverse the colors. Instead of repeating the code, it's better to reverse the input and run the same algorithm again. Right, and now let's answer queries. for every query, what's given? I in index I and color C. Are indices from 0 or from 1? From 0, good. So from 0 to n minus 1. I'm interested in next of I and C, and also previous of I and C. But because previous was reversed, here I would need this. Actually, if their array has size 10, then index 8 after reversing is index 1. You can answer queries in log of n with binary search. Yes, I'm aware, but I want to have linear solution. Can you explain in short after solving for loop? I'm explaining all the time, but after I'm done I can summarize short. Use a for loop and reverse the array after first iteration? Yep. Instead of extracting this as a function, I could make it here inside a for loop. I could do this for repeat twice, put some algorithm here and then reverse. That's possible, but it's a better programming style to create a function. Even though in competitive programming it's not really the best, because you're wasting some time and some running time, some efficiency. Can you go over BFS solution again? I mean, that's the full description, you know. I will focus on mine. So I need to check those two. Because I use n, let's create n here. And what? I need to check those two. That will give me the closest position, but I'm not interested in position. I want to know the distance. To make, instead of then making some complicated code here, let's say that this find next will find the distance to the next such element. The distance initially is infinity. I don't like using int max because after increasing by 1 in C++ that would overflow. So next is that otherwise this, and you need to increase by 1. If for the next position I knew that closest one is 5 units away, now it's 6 units away. And the distance for this particular value is 0. I believe that now it's enough to take the minimum of those two values, because that's its minimum distance to the left and to the right. This is the distance. If it's infinity, I think we should then return -1 for every query. Otherwise the distance. And remember, if you prepare for real interview, you shouldn't really at this moment hit run code, because that's very lazy. It's convenient but lazy. During a real interview, you're expected to look at your code and try to think about its correctness. Fix compilation errors, try to maybe analyze your code with some example. 303 is a correct one, so we should be good. Any issues? Yeah. If this was int max, by the way, I would have an overflow here and it would become int min. But it's not, proper coding style, maybe. Maybe it's a bit better to use here int max and here make an if. But in other languages it's more convenient, because you put infinity and you know that infinity plus 1 is still infinity. I believe that in Python that's the case. Submit. Accepted. With some big memory. Maybe they tried very big arrays. My space and time complexity are both linear, O of n. If the number of colors was bigger, then it would be O of the number of colors times n. Both space and time. Maybe this can be done with one array of size n times 3 instead of both next and previous. Maybe we can once go from left to right, then right to left, and reuse the same array. I'm not sure though. And somebody from the chat mentioned that BFS is possible, and yes, it is possible, but it's not. I won't always describe all possible solutions. Wait, did I hit submit again? I didn't want that. Alright, the last third problem. Right now I don't have any link for you because this is just Google interview in Leetcode. Sorry, if you type leetcode.com/interview/free, it will not work. Fine, the third last problem. There is a board of size 2 by 3. Oh, it will be annoying, won't it? There is board of size 2 by 3. There are 5 tiles represented by integers 1 through 5. And what this is, isn't it called 15 puzzle? Not algorithm. No, I don't want to cheat. I just want to tell you that it's simplified version of this game apparently, where you need to. There are 16 cells. 15 of them are taken with numbers 1 through 15, and you need to sort this. Within a puzzle board, return the least number of moves required so that the state of the board is solved. If it is impossible for the state of the board to be solved, return -1. Yeah. It is. I think what usually happens is we put 1 first when a human tries to play this game. How to do this? Like that will work. Then 2, then 3. I was lucky with 4. More likely, it's tricky to fix 4. But something like that is just a heuristic that isn't optimal. Now it's a bit trickier to put 8 here, but I think you can make 7 and 8 neighbors, yeah, like this. So I already made 2 rows. Now you need to put 9 here and at the same time 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 here. So you want to make 9 and 13 should be the other type of neighbor, and there is for sure some way to flip them, yeah, like that. I will not finish, but now this is done, this is done. Similarly, you want to put 10 and 14 here. Actually, I will just finish. I'm lucky with 10 and 14. No, I'm not lucky. Wait, I messed up. Good now. Yay, none. But all that being said, under 2 minutes, I think it's a good time. But I was lucky in like 2 moments. That's useless if you know the puzzle, if you know how to play it, because here they ask about the minimum number of moves. And then we just need to consider all the possibilities. If you want to find the fastest way to do something and the number of moves isn't huge, then most of the time it's BFS. Shortest number of moves, where vertex of this graph is the current state. So I will say that if this is the initial state of the board. So, well, it's that. Then one possible move is to move 2 down. 0 represents an empty cell. Maybe let's represent empty cell by a dot. There is an edge from this vertex to this vertex. There is an edge from one state to the other if we can make such a move. And you need to find shortest path from the starting cell to the final one, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 0. Yeah, BFS is breadth first search. I want to learn C++, from where I will learn. Google C++ course. C++ course online for free. Don't use an ad because that's for sure not free. There will be paid courses, just skip them. Is this Leetcode premium? Yes, it is. No, we didn't want that. How do I want to represent states? I can just say that I have some visited states. In particular, visit insert board. I need in some way to say that answer for board is 0, not answer, distance. This is just what would be for normal BFS. It's just that usually this thing is a value from 1 to n, like integer index. Here it isn't. Map must be, I need to use a map from board to int for the distance. Because I use it, I will just not use a set. To check if something is visited, I will check if it's in the map. There is also a queue. You can use a queue, but I prefer a vector. This is how I learned BFS. If you use queue, that's fine. It's maybe even better. Space is just for clarity. This is the, well, let's call it queue. Every item like this one is one board, and I have a list of that. You can imagine that it's a list. Queue pushback board. I initialized with the starting cell. Current. Now need to iterate over every possible move. What will be the easiest way to do it? I can iterate over cell, and I can say that from this cell I move to an empty one, and that's allowed if empty one is a neighbor. What about this? If current of row column is 0, this is empty cell, then check all the neighbors. Can I do it better? Okay. One of techniques to iterate over 4 neighbors is this. Hard code the directions, delta row and delta column. When you try to access, when you have direction equal to 0, direction can be 0, 1, 2, or 3. You can access delta row of direction and delta col of direction, and this will tell you the transition vector, how to go. Okay, maybe this row column is neighbor with row plus delta row of any direction and col plus delta col. One possible here vector of transition is -1, 0. This is how you can use BFS on a grid, or also you can simulate moves of a knight in chess. Row 2 is row plus delta row of direction, same with column. Can we store the position of 0 in the queue along with the board? Yes, we can, and that I wouldn't need to then do this, so maybe it's better, but I would need to find 0 anyway in this very first board, so I would have those two for loops. Your idea will not make my code shorter. And in terms of speed, I know that the number of states is limited by 6 factorial. That's how many ways there are to rearrange 6 items. And that's what, 720? That's very, very, very fast. Computer can do millions of operations in 1 second. Okay, that's a new cell. If it's inside the grid, I prefer to extract this as a function. Row can be 0 or 1. I can even make it more robust. I will make code that works for any kind of grid size, just it would be slower, of course. Height and width of the whole grid. Height, width. If this is inside, you see now I don't use here the fact that there are 2 rows and 3 columns. This I could read as, I could even initialize that as size of board, and size of the first row of the board would be width. If this is inside, new board is current, swap new board of row call with this R2C2. If not distance count board, if the map doesn't contain this element, then insert it. The standard line from BFS, and Q pushback new board. All right. If current is equal, I can hardcode it, then it will stop being so nice. But I want at the end to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. I could make it more robust and just make a for loop to create this final state. Let's be lazy this one time. Return distance of current, and if BFS ended and I didn't find it, return -1. You can check some kind of parity to decide that, but I don't want to bother. I think I need to tell C++ what's the type of this list thing. 1. Let's try those other tests. Should be -1, and this should be 5. It's 5 indeed. The complexity is dominated by the number of cells factorial, because that's the number of possible states. So it's 6 factorial, but also you have this times h, times w, times directions, and you have also logarithm of map size, because map uses some kind of tree in C++ STL. But anyway, the number of states is so small that it doesn't matter. Score report is being generated. Remember how I told you that it will take 20 minutes? Well, I'm not that fast apparently, at least talking with the chat sometimes. Please don't repeat comments in the chat or I will ban you. %. Oh no. Your score is determined by factors such as the time taken, test cases solved to the question, and more. I think that this becomes 10 out of 10 only if you solve everything in 0 seconds. If that's the case, then sure, I will be. Then I'm satisfied with my 99%. Are those no. Are those standard problems in Leetcode? Done. No. 1138. I just want to see if it's locked or not. Just from curiosity of how Leetcode works. 1138. Okay, it isn't a locked problem. What is locked is the fact that it is from Google on-site interview. Is that it? All right. Show hint. Create a hash map from letter to position on the board. Oh yeah, that's the first problem. Never mind. Will I do Advent of Code 2020? December isn't the best month for me. Can I still join? Somebody told me about this. Leaderboard. How is score count? Getting a star first is worth 100 points. Second is that. I see. So I will be those 3 problems behind, right? I'm a competitive guy. If I am to participate in anything, I want to win. I see a lot of familiar names here, like Lewin, Xiaog, Kevin. Maybe, what is that? Some kind of PayPal thing? I will not solve this problem now. In particular, I don't know if it should be confidential. I guess so. I don't know. I will consider participating. If you want that, it's adventofcode.com, and I heard a lot of positive things about it. Two problems behind first day didn't count. Okay, so only 1 problem behind. But then I would need to care about the starting time. 12 hours. Oh, no. For me, that's before 6 a.m. So actually it doesn't matter then that I skipped 2 first days. I'm not going to wake up at 6 a.m. every day for a month. That would be not pleasant. Right, chat. What do we do now? I will not just keep doing this, because in particular, this is behind paywall. Even if that's allowed, I saw people in, for example, Twitch solving Leetcode premium problems, and I think that's fine. It promotes the website. So I wouldn't want to go through, for example, all Google interview problems behind paywall. That would not be fair to Leetcode, even if theoretically it doesn't forbid it. And yeah, I didn't think about it before. You should have. So let's maybe, I will log out of this account. I have 2 accounts, exactly because I don't want to show something from paywall by coincidence, by mistake during a stream. Now, if I hit mock, I won't be able to take a Google interview. Yep, locked now, because it's my second account. Have I purchased Leetcode Premium? Yes, I have. Just, yearly subscription. I treat that as kind of, well, I literally treat that as business expense. How to practice more hard problems free? No, I can tell you that. Go to problems, choose hard. How to choose hard? Choose hard. Wait, what? Oh yeah, and you have a huge list of hundreds of problems that you can practice for free. You're welcome. Just frequency of problems. Oh, what is locked is just information about companies that use this problem. But believe me, you are fine just solving free problems in the internet. And while I say that, I'm aware that I will have a paid website in the future, and I will try to convince you to buy it from me. But the fact is, you can succeed without paying for anything. It's just, you're paying for convenience. It's a bit better to pay for Leetcode Premium and to practice exactly those slightly better problems, to have editorial every time, But if you want to get good at coding interviews, it's not that you should practice Google interview questions. It's what you should learn is algorithms, and any problem will teach you algorithms. It's just about, some small difference in effectiveness. Can you answer a problem I have? I mean, that's like, can I ask a question thing. If you're asking about particular problem from Leetcode, maybe I will tell you that when I tell you that I want suggestions from you, the chat, to solve something, then I tell you and I will get suggestions from you. Will I release my platform in 2021? I guess. It isn't really... Technical side of the platform isn't dependent on me. I'm the one doing the course problems, editorials. I don't really like web design or anything like that. You need to make backend. Basically, these interview problems are picked from free problems shown on the site. Not necessarily from free problems. Interview problems in mock are chosen from problems that are marked as, by many people, as, for example, Google on-site problems. But I heard that this feedback from community and this marking of which company asks that it isn't accurate, and Leetcode isn't fast in adding new problems. I think that I heard that Leetcode process of creating problems is slow enough that you don't really have recent problems. I don't know how accurate that is. What's your favorite algorithm? That's like, what's your favorite color? I don't have one. All right, let's choose some problem. Usually I take suggestions from the chat. Let me instead just open the last few problems and choose one. Medium or hard for sure. What is that? If it's short statement, then maybe I will do it. Let's see, 2 types. If the element is even divided by 2, we can do this. All right, I will read the statement, then we'll give you a few minutes to try to think about it on your own, and then I will solve it. As you saw with this Google mock interview, solving problems from Leetcode usually takes seconds to come up with a solution, just because they are strictly easier than competitive programming problems, like those from Codeforces or Google Code Jam. Oh, and regarding that, on Saturday, so 2 days from now, is Facebook Hacker Cup Finals. You can, I guess you can follow me on Facebook, for example, but also join the Discord server for any updates on that. There won't be any live stream during the contest, but you can follow the leaderboard on Facebook. There you just find the HackerRank page. I'm not taking suggestions now. So that's the link. Why do they use the weird submit format? What is weird about that format? The problem is you're given an array and you can any number of times choose an even element and divide it by 2, or choose odd element and multiply by 2. You can do it many, many times. For example, from 4, 1, 5, 20. 20, and at the end, I care about maximum difference between any two elements in the array. So obviously we care about biggest minus smallest. We can maybe raise all the numbers, multiply them by 2, at least if they are odd initially. But it seems good to maybe divide 20 by 2. Then I will have 4, 1, 5, 10, 3. If I finish now, my answer would be 9. 9 is the difference, maximum minus minimum. I can multiply 1 by 2, 4, 2, 5, 10, 3, and now answer would be 8, but it's even better to also divide 10 by 5. Sorry, divide 10 by 2 and get 5. 3 is optimal difference, minimum possible difference between 5 and 2. Between maximum and minimum. Given an array, you want to say what is the best possible final difference. And n is up to 100,000, which means that it cannot be quadratic. Then most of the time in internet competitions, this kind of limit, 100,000, it means that you need to make it O of n or O of n times log of n. Because n squared for this data would be too much. It would take like 20 seconds at least. Right, that's the statement. Now you can please stop spamming. Don't repeat your question with uppercase 3 times in a row. You have a few minutes to solve it. No sub button. Yeah, because I stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, I cannot be Twitch affiliate. I'm not doing these streams to get donations. Yeah, you have 5 minutes for thinking. How to stay focused? I estimate the number of articles and videos in the internet about how to stay focused as maybe 100,000. No, that's too much. 10,000? I wonder how many videos there are on YouTube. YouTube, how to stay focused. I wonder how much you would need to scroll to find something not related to really how to stay focused. Those are all videos with thousands of views. And how many there are with like 10 views? Okay, maybe it's not that many. Anyway, I'm not a psychologist or any kind of, behavioralist. Is that a word? I won't tell you the best way to stay focused. But I can focus for a long time on programming because I like it. How do you stay focused on video game? How can you play a game for like 10 hours? Or when you were a kid, maybe, for the whole night. Actually, that would be 10 hours. I don't know when for the last time I played for more than 5 hours in a row. How do you stay focused? You don't actually think about staying focused because you like it. for me, programming is that. If I need to do something, let's say I was in university and I needed to study, that would be not pleasant for me, and I don't think I was able to focus better than other people from my class or year. That's maybe about motivation. Okay, maybe the number of problems online and competitions I took part in, it helps in actually focusing. So many times I needed to focus for 5 hours to solve different problems, not to think about anything else, that I'm able to focus on something. So then the answer maybe is just practice, experience in focusing for a few hours. Sarcasm level of Ericto escalated during the pandemic. Did it? Actually, I wasn't sarcastic here. I was just honest that there's so much of that in the internet. A reminder, I gave you a few minutes to think about solution to this minimize deviation in array problem. And while I wait for that, I can answer some questions from the chat. Can you make a video and tell us regarding all the good coding competitions there are in code? I have a video about big programming competitions. Ericto big programming competitions. Oh, this one. I have a video about introducing to programming competitions. And in that video, for sure, at least I think so, I mentioned this website, contest list. So the website is clist.by. It has a list of all the problems, including, for example, Facebook Hacker Cup finals. CTF is also here, and I don't do any of that. Basically, because of my experience, I know what I'm interested in here. I don't do this. Advent of code, like sure, maybe December challenge is something interesting, but I don't do those. Hiring contest Azure, I'm not interested. CTF, no. Code forces, fine, but too easy. Top coder round, I don't like them recently. At coder regular, too easy for me, or maybe not. I heard that recent regular contests are difficult. It's a helpful website. Where did you study? Read FAQ. I studied in Warsaw. In YouTube description and also in Twitch, you can read my frequently asked questions. There's a lot of like personal stuff and related to the channel programming. When to start competitive programming? 10 years ago would be the best. Second best is today. In every financial book you will find this Chinese quote. The best moment to start investing is 20 years ago. The second best is today. Same applies for anything. When to start a YouTube channel if you want to be a YouTuber? Now. All right. Let's solve the problem. Somebody wrote in all uppercase, first sort the array for this question. Please don't use uppercase. Did you ever see a normal person in the internet using uppercase? I will ban you if you keep doing that. All right. Because we care about maximum minus minimum, for sure I need to change maximum or minimum to improve the situation. If I have some sequence like this one, 1, 3, 4, 5, 20, and I make some operations without touching 1 and 20, I will not improve the answer. It will stay as the initial value of 19. The smallest value I can multiply times 2. And maybe that would improve the situation, but that's only like one thing I could do. I can do more about the biggest value, maybe several times I can decrease it. If the biggest value was instead odd, 25, then I cannot do anything about it. So then it's all about modifying smaller values. So that's some, if you don't see a solution, that's something we can start with. All right, let's analyze this sample. And a good method to solve problems is to analyze what a human would do to solve this problem. And when I went through this example, I kind of knew what to do without reading the sample explanation, without reading this. I knew that, is that the same? Oh yeah. Wait. You can transform the array after 2 operations to this. That's 3 operations. Did I misunderstand the problem? Starting from that, we need 3 operations to get 2 and 5 on those positions. 1 operation multiply 1 by 2. Second, from 20 to 10. Third, from 10 to 5. That's 3. Yeah. I don't understand why those mistakes in explanations of examples are so common. Leetcode is a big company, then they should hire somebody to check stuff. Or am I misunderstanding the problem? Why is writing in uppercase an issue? Okay, look, sorry, but I'm banning you. Don't waste my time. You can use Google. Feel free to watch me, though. Don't ask a question that you could just Google. All right. What was I saying? Yeah, we start from some sequence, and without knowing the solution, I already knew how to kind of get to that optimal final sequence in 3 operations, not 2. And the final difference was 3. What did I do? I kept modifying minimum and maximum element. It helps to know minimum and maximum elements, apparently. And even better, let's just sort the sequence. Maybe it's not necessary, but let's do it. And if I do it, then it's just about, decreasing this value and or increasing the first one. It isn't, though, true that we will only modify the 2 values. And this is an example. If you have any idea, you can quickly think about a counterexample. And this is counterexample to an idea of maybe I will only modify first and last element. No, that's not true, because here it's better to modify the first element indeed. Actually, do it twice, right? Oh, I cannot multiply even by 2, so only can do this, nothing more. But it's better to change 18 to 9 and 20 to 5. Then we have difference of 9 minus 2. Each operation maybe counts in modifying all elements once. They didn't say that. But maybe. Why are you not halving 20 there? I am. Actually, I'm doing it twice. Sorry for interrupting, but are there other streamers doing competitive programming? Yeah, in Codeforces there is now this feature on the right. When there is any stream coming, it is announced here on the right side. So just visit Codeforces from time to time. My stream isn't here right now because today is coding interview stream, not really Codeforces related. I don't want to spam Codeforces with this. All right. So actually, if we follow this step by step, what would happen is that first, maybe I have 20 into 10, but then I have a different maximum. And now, every time when I look at some maximum, I'm interested in halving it, if possible, if that improves anything. 10 and 9, actually 9 gets here. And now 10 can be halved, and it doesn't hurt in any way. 5 and 9 will be in this order. And well, I can also modify the first element. Maybe I should do it at the very beginning. So, idea, keep halving the maximum element if possible. And I cannot sort the whole sequence every time. And it isn't true that just the last two elements will swap places, because if you have something like 14, 16, 18, 20, and now you divide 20 to get 10, it will move to the left by a lot of elements. But priority queue can do that fast. Priority queue can do this fast. If you know data structures for any kind of simple task, you can immediately think about a proper data structure. 20 can be halved to 10. Then like I will erase 20, 10 will be inserted into this thing, so it will be here, and I will keep doing this. Keep halving the maximum element if it's even, because then it's allowed. What keyboard do I use? Logitech Premium Ultra X or something like that, but you can see FAQ. There's FAQ chat, a comment, and there is software and hardware described there. Heap, pick, max, and divide it till it's possible. Yeah. The priority queue uses a heap. Is it correct though? Well, for starters, let's notice what happened here. I actually make the difference worse by modifying 20, by changing 20 to 10. Right now the difference is 6, and if I make an operation, I will have a difference of 8. That's worse. And you can say, hey, actually this will improve later because you will divide this, that, decreasing the range to smaller values. At the end it will be from 5 to 9 maybe. At the end I will get 4 in this case. But it's very easy to think about an example where this is actually bad. Consider having 19, 20. Right now the answer is 1, but if you have the 20, the answer is 9. Oh, you messed up. The idea isn't correct. You shouldn't always keep halving the maximum element. Or maybe what you should do is this. This is a possible answer. Possible answer is 1. And we have some range of values, but maybe if I halve the maximum element, it will then be smaller. Maybe this is smaller range, or it will lead me to a smaller range once I keep halving. So this 1 should be the current answer. I will have some things like int best answer, or just let's call it answer, because by definition answer is that optimal thing. And I will update it. When always I will do answer is minimum of itself and the current max minus min for at every moment. So new idea is keep halving, and at every time update answer and max minus min. Consider the current set of numbers to be the best one. And we need to think about minimum then. The minimum element, it can be multiplied by 2 only once. So maybe that will be easier for us to handle. I started from analyzing what happens with maximum element because I can have it multiple times. Well, minimum only once. Maybe I should just consider 2 scenarios. One where the minimum element is just the initial value, and one when it's double that. But then quickly you will realize that the same happens with the second element. If the first element is, say, 7, and there are some bigger elements, then yeah, there are 2 scenarios. This will be 7 or 14 at the end. But what if there is here 9? Also there could be 8 in between. Then for 9 also you have a choice between leaving it as 9 or having 18, because you can double it. Maybe it will help. We have here then multiple possibilities. It's minimum of we have okay, we have possibility for 7 being minimum, or 9 being minimum, or then 14, assuming that there are no other numbers, or minimum is 18. That's impossible. 7 needs to be 7 or 14. Can we separate into even and odd? What, the input? Doesn't matter too much, because actually every odd number from the input, it doesn't hurt to multiply by 2 at the very beginning. I don't know if that will help. This is why the idea, PK's idea of even and odd isn't helpful. If I have 7 and 9 in the input, I could say that this is actually 14 and 18. I could forget that they were 7 and 9, because 14 and 18 anyway can be halved. I can then assume that everything in the input is even. If something goes odd, multiply by 2 and start with this value. Well, what helps then is the fact that I will never multiply by 2. Oh, actually, that helps. So that was idea. Then observation. It doesn't hurt to first multiply every odd number by 2, because I can revert it. I can divide it by 2 in a moment. Now all numbers are even in the input after I did this for every odd number. So I will only divide. So I will only divide by 2. And now my idea makes sense, because minimum isn't any special value. I have some range of values. I always take maximum, divide it by 2, insert again in priority queue to update the values. And I will keep doing that every time, considering the new answer. That's it. That's my solution. Maybe something more about correctness. Because I start with all even numbers now, I will never multiply by 2. I could divide and then multiply, but then why did I divide? So, and if only dividing, and I have some range, I cannot make minimum better. I need to make maximum better. So the only thing leading me possibly to better solution is to divide maximum by 2. This is end of proof, why this idea now is correct. Done. I think you'll miss cases like 115. Okay, let's analyze what happens for 115. For 115, I first get rid of odd values, and I say that this is 2 and 30. And now I run my idea, and I have 2 and 15. I divide the maximum by 2. I cannot do anything more. Done. The answer is 13. Repeat till deviation starts to increase. No, it is possible that it increases and then decreases. We talked about this example here. I will just do it as long as possible. I think the optimal is to multiply 1 by 2. Oh, Neil, read the statement. This is, if the element is odd, multiply by 2. This problem would make sense if we could keep multiplying by 2 and keep dividing by 2. I understand that. And I know that the solution would be slightly different then, but that is the problem. I'm sure that this is a very common misunderstanding of this, because it's very easy to understand those two as kind of, symmetrical things. But it's not, you cannot really revert here multiplication by 2. Sorry, what? You cannot always revert division by 2, but you can reverse this operation. So will you do this until all numbers are odd and then report minimum? No, until the maximum is odd. Let's start with brute force. For everything in X, for everything in nums, if it's odd, multiply by 2. Now all numbers are even. And first, brute force version. Answer is infinity. Remember how I told you that I like to fix I like to use my own infinity. It isn't necessary here because I don't add anything to answer. It's not any kind of DP or reusing array. It's just this. Sort. Consider answer to be the difference between maximum, so the last element, minus minimum, the first element. In Python it would be nums of -1 minus nums of 0. And then if nums.back, the last element, if it's even, else break, or I could return answer in this exact position. That's brute force, and if I submit this, I will get time limit exceeded, because it's n square, what is it? Yeah, n square times logarithm from sorting, times how many times I can keep dividing, but at least it's n square. If all numbers are even, then I will keep halving some number, sorting everything, that's n log n, no, at least that, it's actually a bit more. But I won't care about details here. That's brute force, and if I hit submit, yeah, you will see time limit exceeded, but I don't want to mess up my stats that much. In Leetcode account already I have a lot of wrong answers and time limit exceeded, because during streams I keep saying, oh, let's submit. Actually, okay, let's not care, whatever. Let's see that time limit exceeded. I just don't want to see wrong answer. Wrong answer would be suspicious. No. Who would have thought about it? And now, yeah, same logic, just better data structure. And data structures do exactly that. They simulate the same logic, just faster. Numbers I want to keep in a priority queue. Priority queue gives me biggest or smallest element? Don't remember. Biggest? Cool. Thank you. Priority queue. Let's call it queue. Can I... Okay, for sure I can do this. But I wonder if this is possible in C++. If it won't compile, I will use the method from below. For some structures, then this is linear. You can build a... Oh no, it isn't, because it's not sorted. Yeah, I wonder if it will compile. If not, then just assume that I'm doing this. And now, maximum is this. Oh, I don't know minimum. That's something quite important. If, okay, well, I have this mainly. Oh. Q.top, Q.push. Q.pop. This simulates my algorithm, but I also need minimum at every step. And you might say, let's use second priority queue just with, you know, the reverse order, min heap, but I can do better. The small element will just keep getting smaller. Initially there is some minimum element, and I claim that just I can use it. Here, answer considered to be big minus small. And instead of saying that small updates in a priority queue or something like that, small is min of small and big over 2. That's it. If you want to maintain minimum and new elements only decrease, you can do that in constant time and space. If you want to maintain maximum and elements decrease, that's harder and you need a max heap. Can't we use set? Yes, we can. No, that it didn't let me to do this. We use set, but remember, for any kind of task, you want to use as simple data structure as possible. Priority queue can do less, a typo. priority queue can do less than set, so it's faster. Set is more complicated, it can do more. More powerful or algorithm or data structure will be slower. Use the simplest thing that can do whatever you need it to do. And here we would need multiset, but multiset would be slower. How does priority queue work? It uses heaps, and you can read on them. Can you repeat the max-min statement? Or which one? I don't know. Better to do priority queue of vector integrator, but that's a mouthful. Oh, wait. Actually, so could I do this? I wasn't able to do this only because maybe this C++ priority queue constructor. Oh yeah, it works with first and last. Cool. Where am I? Here. In today's episode of Erichto Learns C++. And I very much understand the question about set, because, now an interesting fact, I never use priority queue. Set is so powerful and convenient that in contests I use set, and if needed, if I get time limit exceeded and I think that complexity is good, then I switch from set to priority queue. I see some discussion on priority queue for smallest. Yeah, like sometimes I also do a trick with multiplying every value by -1 to change the order, but it's better to use a comparator. But for that, I always need to Google priority queue custom comparator. There is an easy one, right? So apparently, you can type this. And this is great. You can put here greater or smaller to decide about the order. Have you considered development? Isn't that the question by that band guy? Yes, I have. Stop this Twitch bot. What are you talking about? The one repeating all the comments between Twitch and YouTube? This is how you can have two chats and you can see each other's comments. Maybe it's a bit annoying, I don't know. Can you repeat the logic once more? The logic was multiply odd elements by 2. Now you can only divide, starting with some even numbers. Keep dividing the biggest element by 2 and consider the current answer, max minus min. Again, divide the maximum by 2. All right, one more problem today, and this time, all right, suggestions from the chat are welcome. Give me like Leetcode number or a link and some short description of what would be cool about this problem. 67F 678 after logic you get this. I can analyze that. For 678, first I multiply odd by 2. That's 14. I have 6, 8 and 14. My answer B is 14 minus 6, that's 8. That's a possible answer. I divide maximum by 2. From 14 I get 7. Sort it again. The current answer is 2. And I update the best possible answer. Then I divide 8 by 2. It's 4. That's the sort. I update answer to possibly be 3. But it's not that I overwrite. I find the best answer during my process. So the answer is 2, even though at the very end, not necessarily I got the optimal sequence. Chat, it's not just about number. I won't properly choose between numbers 1674 and 1671. I understand that I'm good at numbers, but not good enough to, remember every Leetcode problem by number. I will repeat. You can tell me number and some short explanation. Suncat, please don't repeat your comment of 1671 or I will ban you. What's the point? You can say, for example, that the editorial is bad, or that the solution is very nice, or that you talked with your friend and you couldn't solve it. That would be a good explanation. Algorithms. What is that? Oh, I see. Algorithms is the default category. All the problems we're doing is algorithms. I see. You can find blah blah questions on GitHub. Don't steal. If somebody is providing you some paid content, it's not fair to steal it. I understand that it does. Somebody put effort in that. Pirating is bad, including, for example, pirating problems from Leetcode or Algo Expert. Don't do that. Sadly, I cannot say that I never pirated a thing in my life. But no. It's a bit convenient once you have enough money to say, oh, pirating is bad. So in recent years, then sure, I have, for example, Netflix. But when I was young and poor-ish, then I didn't always use, for example, Netflix. Digit DP, annoying question. Do you want to discourage me from solving it? George had solved it. It's the guy from Autonomic Cars. Security hacker. Oh, he did something regarding reverse engineering the car. George Hod's fully self-driving cars are a scam and Silicon Valley needs to die. I remembered some of that, apparently. The Skyline problem, last day of November challenge. Didn't I do Skyline problem already in one of the streams? I think I stream for enough time that I forget what I already covered during streams. I wonder how often now I solve the same problem. Don't repeat a comment. All right. $871 relates to Jump Game 2. Let's see. New number of refueling stops. Even the name straight tells you dynamic programming. Every refueling problem or jumping problem is about DP. I will read this and then decide if it's a good problem to solve. A car travels from a starting position to a destination which is that many miles east of the starting position. So, in normal words, you have a line from 0 to L. Let's say L is the length of that line. Along the way there are gas stations, each with some position, and has that much gas. You start from 0, you have some amount of fuel, You can stop somewhere and grab all the gas. What is the least number of refueling stops? All right. I understand it, but I always think that such statements should contain drawings. And the proper drawing for this problem. Oh, I need to give you a link. Sorry about that. First, let's just use this. Again, I will give you time to think about it. The problem is this. There is a line of length, let's call it L. This is the, the end. You need to get there. You start here. You're a car. A beautiful car. With some amount of fuel already, let's say fuel is 5, it would mean it's enough to cover 5 kilometers, 5 units. And there are some gas stations. Maybe this one has, I don't know, 7 liters of fuel. This one maybe has 9. And there are some. You need to stop as few times as possible to reach the destination. In particular, because if you start with 5 fuel, for sure you need to visit one of those stations. Not necessarily the first one. Maybe here it's better to stop at this one, because then you get all the 9 fuel. You add that to your fuel. But maybe later there is a lack of stations and actually you should take both these. That's possible. It's not very aerodynamic car. It's very aerodynamic. Look, it will be after I do this. You see, there are arrows. That's not a very good arrow. But you see, now it's very good car. Anyway, I'm just saying that greedy will not work, at least a simple greedy. You shouldn't, when you see first station, it's hard to decide if you should take it or not, if you should use it or not, because that depends on what will happen in the future. And that's usually a sign of a need for dynamic programming. So you have now a few minutes to think about the solution. The limits are n up to 500. I think though that it can be solved for n up to million, but it would be more standard for a code forces problem. If you can solve this version with dynamic programming, then think about non-dynamic programming solution for bigger constraints. In math, there is no wind. How do you say wind? Wind. Well, in math and in physics, right? In physics, everything is a point or a perfect sphere. We take a cow. It's a perfect sphere, as every cow. Wind is a verb, but isn't it a noun as well? Is it DP with sliding window? No, it isn't. Sliding window isn't useful here. At least I don't see how it's useful. How long votes stay up? On YouTube, forever. On Twitch, I don't know. The default is 2 weeks. Just go to YouTube. Wait, my command doesn't work. Oh, it works. And the number of stations, the number of those blue points is up to 500. The length of the whole thing is up to billion. If you think about DP, your state cannot be where you are exactly right now. It can be up to 1 billion because that would be too slow. Do I participate in Advent of Code? Not yet. I will consider, but I will be busy in December, so I don't really like the idea of doing it daily. But it's a great initiative, and I think problems are quite nice. You should. Tourist sucks. I mean, then what should you tell about all of us who are below tourist? What's my age? You can check frequently asked questions. I'm not below tourist. Yeah, Twitch users are not below tourist. I wonder how many times I won with Gennady in any contest. It's all of one for sure. Like maybe once or twice. Maybe 0, I'm not sure. You have a few more minutes to solve a problem, to think on your own. What is a tourist in here terms? Tourist is a person, a particular person, Gennady Korotkevich. He's the best competitive programmer in the world. How does it feel meeting him? It's normal. For most of my life, I spent a lot of time with other people who do competitions. I will tell you here maybe one too slow DP. If we go from left to right, and we already made some decisions. We made the decision to refuel or not here, to refuel or not here. And same for everything up to, let's say, here. Then DP should be described by our current position and our amount of fuel so far. So it's position, our current amount of fuel, and then the number of stops already. This last thing we want to minimize. So this gives us a solution. Well, we want to minimize this, so that's the value of dp of position, and everything else goes to dimensions. There are a billion possible positions. The total amount of fuel also is up to billion. This int dp for this position in fuel is to be in this position with this amount of fuel. What's the minimum number of stops so far? That's the definition of dp. But that would be like something like O of L square, where L is length of the whole thing, because position is up to L, and fuel, well, it should also be up to L. It doesn't make sense to have more than that, so we can minimize with L. And L is up to billion, so that would take like billions of years to compute. Maybe not, thousands of years. Okay. This program takes thousands of years to run, but actually you cannot run it because you cannot have this space complexity. No computer in the world has that. All computers in the world do. So, I wonder how much memory does supercomputer have? My question is actually maximum RAM of any computer. Supercomputer has a capacity of 200 to 300 gigabytes or more. I don't think that's accurate. Currently, a normal computer can have that much, right? Max amount of RAM. Okay. But all computers combined, I think they could hold it. It's 1 billion devices, each with 1 gigabyte. Greedy will not work. I explained at the beginning why greedy is a bad idea, because to decide about the first station, you would need to see what is in the future. Maybe in a moment you will get much better station with like infinite amount of fuel almost. So just stop there. Or maybe in the future we will have a long distance without stations or with very weak stations. And then it's better to take it. So no, if we go from left to right, greedy bad. For some reason, from right to left, same story. Why do you have 1 billion tabs open? Because I didn't close them. You are welcome. Is the 1 million constraint version of this problem solvable using segment tree with DP from the end? I wanted to do it without DP and without segment tree. Oh, no, I don't see what you want to do with DP and segment tree. "16 exabytes is the max amount of RAM on 64-bit operating system." Yeah, but it would be quite hard to get it, right? I wonder what are the limitations. Some things you can just scale up, right? It's very easy to add more space. Like if you want to have it's called your storage to be bigger, just 1 terabyte, 10 terabytes, just get more disks and it won't be that huge space. And I guess that RAM is harder because it needs to talk to each other. How are you making living? Various things. I win some contests. I live from winning contests, teaching people. YouTube and streaming isn't really a good source of income. I earned maybe $100 from ads on YouTube and more than $1,000 for sure from sponsorships, but it's not enough to live. Using min heap. I don't know what you want, you want to use min heap, Vishesh. I think greedy is possible. I remember seeing this problem worded differently in my algo class. It isn't that greedy to just, it doesn't work to just go from left to right and decide in some way about every next station. But yes, you can solve this without DP for n up to 1 million. DFS with memoization. You can call any recursive DP that. You can probably lead a company. If you have a company, you can give it to me, for me to lead. All right. Yeah, Dmaster provided a solution in the chat for the harder version. Congrats. But let's first talk about DP, the quadratic version. I already here told you some DP. For any dynamic programming, you can solve it this way. Just think about the process of going from, let's say, left to right. And when you are at somewhere, you need to list down what is important so far in this simulation. What information do you need to maintain? It doesn't matter where exactly you stop. It matters where you are, how much fuel you have, and what's the number of stops. You minimize that. First observation. I don't need to go one by one. I just need to consider being in every next station and the maybe very last position. I don't need to go one by one. That's stupid. So this this is not from 0 to L, so not from 0 to billion. This is just from 0 to N. That's first improvement. The number of stops is also from 0 to N. And now, quite common trick in competitive programming. What you need to minimize in the problem doesn't need to be value of dp. From this, you can choose any value to be value of dp, and I will choose that just the biggest one. Fuel can be big. Fuel can have value of billions. So let's say that value of dp is fuel, because it's just so big. I cannot have that as dimension. And here, instead, I will have position and stops. You might say, but hey, I want to minimize stops. But by doing this, for every current position and the number of stops already, I care about fuel, then for sure I want to maximize it. So my dp is, for every position, for every number of stops so far, maximize the fuel so far. Because obviously max fuel is better, more fuel is only better. At the end, when we are here in the last position, iterate over all stops and see for which one this state is reachable at all. Because this value should be minus infinity if we cannot get somewhere. In particular, if there are no stations and it's not enough to get from start to the end. I will obviously initialize as dp of 0, 0 is starting fuel. This is given in the input. And then when I'm somewhere in dp of position and the stops so far, I have a choice between taking a stop here. So from this, I will move to dp of the next position. The number of stops increased by 1, and I need to update the fuel. So fuel increased by this station of P, and decreased by the distance to the next thing. Or I move to state dp of P plus 1 and S. I don't make a stop. And here my fuel decreased by distance. What you're seeing right now on the screen is enough to define dp. It's just now necessary to implement the same thing. This will be one line, this will be the other line. From this dp, you have one of two choices. It's almost any dp. Knapsack, for example. You take an element or not. That's just 2 lines in code. That will be n squared. N is the number of stations. Target, I called that L. Start fuel, stations. I want dp of, what did I have? Position and stops. Two-dimensional array. N plus 1 from 0 to n and from 0 to n. dp of 0, 0 is start fuel. Everything else mark as impossible, minus infinity. This should be long, because fuel I can minimize it with target with length of the whole thing, but let's just say this. So fuel can go to billions, that's fine. Minus infinity. Right? Iterate over every position. Stops so far. When I'm at third station, the number of stops so far can be up to 3. Cannot be more than that. From dp of position and stops, just like I made a drawing, I can move to dp of position plus 1 and stops, or stops plus 1. Alright, I said that I can do this. This means not making a stop, because I don't increase the number of stops. So this will be minus distance. The distance is stations of position plus 1 minus stations of position. The distance to the next position, to the next station. Are they sorted? Yes, they are, and I need to access it like this. And for my convenience, I will say stations pushback a pair L, 0. There is imaginary station. There's imaginary station at the last point of this whole drawing. Then I don't need n+1 here, do I? Yeah, I don't. At the end, dp of n-1 and the number of stops, this will tell me what happens to get to that last station. Minus distance, and now I can use this indeed. Up to n-1. Because up to this, there are real stations, and from that I can decide whether to do something here or not. Oh, similarly, stations. At the very beginning, let's insert a pair 0, 0. I insert two fake stations, one at position 0, one at position n-1. They have 0 fuel, or actually I could maybe say that it has start fuel. But I think this is better. All right. dp of pos plus 1 stops is minimum of itself because I minimize, right? No, I maximize the amount of fuel. And dp of pos stops minus the distance. That's one thing. The other is to consider making a stop here, then the number of stops increases, and the fuel also increases by fuel here. Oops. Plus fuel here minus distance. What's the fuel here? This from the input, right? I care about the minimum number of stops. Something is messed up with my indentation, maybe because of this line. For the last position, for every number of stops, and I want to minimize it, if dp of n-1 stops, if this is possible at all, so greater or equal 0, I guess. If I have some fuel here at the end, it's not minus infinity, then that's that. Because I iterate with increasing order, the first time I see that, oh, for 3 stops, I could be here and have 7 extra fuel, then I can say, okay, 3 stops is the answer. Stops not declared. Inf should be long. You are right. But compiler, not compiler actually. Oh, my compiler in my IDE would warn me about this mistake. This value exceeds int. Your input, output expected. That's not a good example. Now should be 2. The complexity is n square, and for any iterative DP it's very easy to compute complexity because you just look at for loops. There's for loop over n, and inside for loop over n, that's n squared. Wrong answer. Expected -1, output 1. I don't compare with with 0. When I have this, I should consider this new thing, but only if the fuel allows me to do this. If I have 5 fuel and I need to cover the distance of 7, I cannot do that. I shouldn't allow this operation. There are two solutions for that. One is to add an if here. To add an if, and it will say, if this new value is greater or equal 0, only then do this. But I would need to do it again here, so that's more code. Instead, what about dp of post stops? If this state is not reachable, then continue. So maybe I mark something in the future as, let's say, -2, but it will not be, from that I will not propagate forward. Forgot condition for dp post stops being positive, exactly. My previous code allowed car to temporarily have negative fuel, amount of fuel, to then at the end get some fuel back, because there are some good stations close to the end. I see that also Snapdragon Thalamus realized that in the chat. Thanks guys too. Dots and square, both space and time. But that's not the only solution. I told you at the very beginning that there is solution for the number of stations being up to 1,000,000. What's DP? DP is dynamic programming. And the solution is to understand this a little better. If our car starts here and it has 5 units of fuel, it needs to tank somewhere there. And I claim this. It is best to use the biggest station, the one with most fuel, because it will give you most fuel. So I use this one, the one with 9. And let's move forward. Thanks to this, initially car could reach everything up to 5. We have 9 more, so we can reach up to 14, wherever that is. And now I claim this. In this new interval that we can reach, let's choose the best station, the best not used station. It could be this one with 7. It would just mean that, yeah, we take this 7 when we were there, we decide to do it. You know, it's a bit like in some kind of board game or video game. If there you would try to find the best path towards solution, the shortest number of steps to win. You can do something and then at the end realize, oh, actually at the very beginning, if I took that item, I would now be able to open this door and I would win the game. You don't need to repeat all the steps to realize that. Then you just say, okay, let's assume that as my first step, I took that key from a chest. It's something like that. We look at interval where we can get with initial fuel. We say that the best station gives us most fuel, so it's most efficient stop. So we take that fuel. We know that, okay, with that fuel we could reach up to here without tanking more, but without refueling more. But then up to here, we choose the other best station. This is greedy with priority queue indeed, where I know my amount of fuel, the 5 initially, that's in my example, actually shouldn't be treated as your fuel. It should be treated as to where you can get. If you decide to stop somewhere, where you can get increases. And you can use 2 pointers here, or just 1 pointer. When it increases from here to there, you just need to insert all those stations to a priority queue to be able to say what's the biggest out of them. Let's implement this. So start fuel, I will rename it. It is how far I can reach. And there is some pointer, next station to consider, while how far is smaller than L. This is the number of stops. I can call it stops. Also, all the DP solution, just erase it. We will have shorter and faster code anyway. Right. While next is smaller than not n, and station's position is smaller equal than how far, so I can reach it. Then next plus plus, and here priority queue push stations of next of second. This is how much fuel is there. Those are available stations. Maybe available stations is then better name. Yeah, instead of saying that, I will do this. Available stations. Okay, actually, the amount of fuel in available stations. No. If this is empty, it means that I will reach somewhere. There was no other station I could stop at. So return -1. Otherwise, use the best one. And the best ones means maximum. How far? This means that I decide that, oh, back then actually I wanted to tank there. And erase the top element. This is the biggest element in priority queue. And stops plus plus, because I decide to take a stop there. If I print the stations as I go, they will not be in order from left to right. This should be the position of that station. But stations of next is actually two elements. The first one, 0 of 1, is position, the next one is fuel. Jump Game 2 uses similar logic, but Jump Game 2 can be solved without priority queue, just simple BFS. I mean, sure, but here we have values up to billion. So it isn't a BFS. All right, solved. Leetcode Jump Game 2. In this thing, the whole array has length n. Positions are from 0 to n. That's the difference. In this one, positions are from 0 to billion, and the values are up to billion too. Like, oh, okay, I see more important difference. Here, if you can get to some prefix, and you see that from that it's best to jump from here by 3, you will not use those things from the prefix again. So the difference is in jump gate, them can tell you this can teleport you up to by 3 to the right, where in a refueling problem it adds to your fuel. So you can use multiple fueling stations from the prefix. HackerRank versus Leetcode, which one is better? Leetcode is good for coding interviews, kind of. HackerRank, I don't think it puts recent problems or anything like that. Maybe HackerRank, some educational series is good, like the one, I don't know. I saw YouTube videos by HackerRank explaining a few algorithms. It wasn't bad. What's your Leetcode rank? If I did all the contests, I would be in top 10 for sure, but I don't know if I would be top 3. But Leetcode contests are in middle of the night for me. I won some rounds. I won some bi-weekly contests, maybe 2 of them. I prefer to do screencasts, and during those short contests, it takes, 20 minutes to do those problems. It's bad because variance is big. A single wrong submission will make you lose. And if I explain anything, I will lose because I will be slower. Was thinking of going from the end. Historic minimum stations needed to reach end from that station. Now from each station, find whoever can reach directly. Okay, but this means you round fuel down. If you see that, let's say, if you have 10 of fuel and you want to reach station at position 8, it's not that that's enough. You will have 2 extra fuel. You need to remember that. Your solution in some way simulates jump game problem, where we do a move and that's it. No, here fuel is added. You also have problems on HackerRank. What are you talking about? Yes, I know that HackerRank has problems. I'm saying that it doesn't have recent coding interview problems. At least I'm not aware. Don't repeat your question. I see the chat. If I don't, it means that there are too many messages, or I don't have time to read it. But I read your message and I answered. How to get started with competitive programming? You go to YouTube, you search Eric Toe, how to start with competitive programming, and you watch this video. This video will tell you, go to codeforces.com, open an account, solve the easiest problem, then solve the second easiest problem, continue. That's how you start competitive programming. I look like Avatar movie character? Which one? Like this Avatar or the cartoon one? Do I look like this character? Or like the left blue one? HackerRank now has no contests. It stopped having contests like 3 years ago. Couldn't compete with Codeforces, I guess. I like the UI. Makes sense. I don't like HackerRank because they owe me 200 euro. In some contest I won 200 euro voucher for booking.com and they didn't give it to me, even though I think I before talked with somebody very important in HackerRank because I created problems for them, and even he couldn't, escalate this issue. So apparently they don't give out prizes. And they modified my old problems that I created for them, renaming the main character from Limac to like Alice or something. And they required half the problems to have a female character, to be PC friendly. I don't know if you can say PC friendly. Just to be politically correct, and inclusive for minorities. My character in my problems, Limac, is actually a bear, sometimes a brown bear, a black bear, white bear, so I think it's pretty inclusive. No, I don't watch anime. I watched some of One Punch Man. So here you go. You know why I don't like HackerRank. Why are you streaming to this on this channel? Should I stop? Alrighty. Thank you. PC friendly, what does that mean? By PC I mean politically correct. Maybe you shouldn't say politically correct friendly. That's stupid. Alright. That's it for today. Follow, subscribe, that stuff. To get notifications, join the Discord server, and I will rate Sonorgono unless somebody is doing Leetcode. No. I don't know if I will make more streams this week, and I don't know if I will make a stream, what is going on, the next Thursday. As I told you, there is that big Polish competition and I will participate. We'll see. What am I doing? Okay, so Discord, calendar, all that stuff. Raiding in 5 seconds. Good luck for Facebook Hacker Cup. Thank you. Check out the leaderboard on Saturday. Top 3 would be nice. Top 3 is also big prizes like 20, $10, and $5,000. No Sonor Gonal, please, it's been already too much. I mean, you don't need to watch him. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. Bye.